Today, I'm joined by Mark Lewis, the director of ReachGlobal Crisis Response. If you don't know about Crisis Response partners with churches around the globe to bring real help and gospel hope in the face of crises. And certainly today in our world, we are in the midst of a global crisis that is touching not only all parts of the world, but clearly touching the United States. So Mark, let's start with this. How does crisis response typically function in the aftermath of a crisis? As you come in, what does that look like?
Yeah, Kevin, we come alongside local churches, bringing in expertise and resources to help them with both preparedness and response, engaging with the reality of the crisis, the circumstances that they're facing. You know, frequently we're considering, is the local church itself, the body, impacted? Is the local community impacted? Are both impacted? And then we're really focused on trying to discover what are the local resources and the vision of the church and the particular event. How do those three pieces come together to form a unique gospel-driven response to whatever the present events and circumstances are?
Now, Mark, I'm sure this current crisis is probably unlike almost anything crisis response has engaged in, simply because of the breadth of the crisis around the world and the fact of the rapid change of what's going on around us. So what does the mission field look like, in a sense, for churches in the midst of a crisis like we're seeing now with COVID-19?
Yeah, well, one of the things that with every crisis, whatever shape or size it comes in fact, we define crisis as the disruption of the normalcy of life. And with the disruption of the normalcy of life, we say God creates a mission field. When people are unsettled and uncertain, when there's fear, anxiety, maybe even helplessness or hopelessness, people are left with questions, wondering, why me? Why now? What does this look like? And so the ability to connect with people in really meaningful ways in relationship and to extend gospel ministries in the framework of that mission field that follows crisis, we find that to be a consistent case worldwide across every crisis. This crisis is particularly different, though. With every other event that we've looked at in recent decades, there's been a very deeply impacted target population, and then maybe another group of people, think of concentric circles, another group of people that maybe were affected, but maybe not quite as deeply, and then maybe some others that have an awareness of the crisis, maybe an inconvenience. And then others that would be aware and unaffected, or even those that are unaware and just they didn't even know that it happened. The reality is that those outer circles, those largely unaffected people groups, are able to significantly resource those that are affected. The difference in this case is that really, it would be hard-pressed to go around the world and find someone that has not had the normalcy of their life disrupted as a result of this crisis. And so the normal ability for, I'll just say, the greater population, the larger church outside of the immediate impact area to bring in people, resources, ideas, assistance, it's just significantly different in this time because every congregation is being affected in some way. Again, it's unique maybe in each culture, in each context, in each city or location, even within our own country. But undeniably, with the health issues, economic, social changes, breaking of normal relational ties, everyone's been affected.
So, Mark, what is ReachGlobal Crisis Response preparing to equip leaders and churches to be able to minister in the midst of this new mission field in the wake of the COVID-19 crisis?
Well, Kevin, first we've put together a resource to basically frame a set of questions for leaders to think about and work through. That resource is on the EFCA.org website in the COVID-19 resource selection. But also, we're putting together two particular courses for leaders to take individually or with their leadership teams. The first one focuses on what are the key questions that leaders have? What are the things that leaders want to know in the midst of the present circumstances? But secondly, what are the things that leaders need to know in the present circumstances? The things that maybe aren't coming to mind, the things that aren't being presented in the media, the things that are unique to the church and to the strategic response of the church, both for caring for their body and the community, shepherding their people, but also bringing gospel hope to those in their communities they serve. Kevin, the second resource that we've been working on is particularly thinking about the traumatic effects that this crisis has brought to pretty much everybody in our country. The increased levels of anxiety, the increased even levels of fear, just a reality that routine decisions like going to the grocery store, they now take on a whole different significance, and our ability to think and process has been impacted. And so we've got another course called Basic Trauma Care to help equip leaders to ask good questions of the people that they're shepherding, to help them process the present circumstances, to start to engage in dialogue, to think about coping and managing and navigating and bringing equilibrium, if you will, to what maybe is presently turbulent times.
Well, Mark, thank you for sharing all those resources and the opportunity that EFCA ReachGlobal Crisis Response has to come alongside leaders and local churches across our country. And as someone who is now going into week 2 in a community that is in a shelter-in-place order, the things you're talking about are very, very significant. So EFCA churches, let me encourage you. Reach out, engage ReachGlobal Crisis Response to help you. Look at the materials, take the courses, be a part of this resource for you so that we as EFCA churches across our country can bring gospel hope and real help into the lives of the people in our congregations and the people in our communities, and we can all do it to the glory of God.